And I'd like to welcome you all to our travel edition of the Lunch Club, where Lou will be taking us on a journey through the Tibetan culture. Thanks so much for presenting as always, Lou, and I look forward to the trivia and what you'll learn today. So once again, thanks so much for presenting this session.
Thanks, Alex. And Alex, thank you so much for putting the slides together. I may need your technical support from time to time. I know you've got all kinds of exciting tidbits built into the slides, so I don't want to miss any of them. Uh, so here we go. Hold on. And let me share my screen. Just a moment. Okay, great. Well, before I do that, though, has anybody here been to Tibet or familiar with Tibet? Anybody? Uh, how about in that neck of the woods, like Asia, the China, that kind of area? Anybody familiar with that area? Okay, good. So this will be new for all of us because I have never been to Tibet, and it's a place that, gosh, I would love to go to someday. So without further ado, allow me to share my slides, and we'll get this going. So here we are. Hopefully everybody can see this just fine.
You're good, Lou.
Okay, so we got a quick agenda here. Where is Tibet? We'll find out about that in a second. Alex has done a great job finding out about the flights and how we get there, which is fantastic. Bit about the culture and then the trivia. So without further ado, let's take it away. So where exactly is Tibet? Well, that's a good question. Let's see if we can figure this one out. So first off, let's look at the flights to get to Tibet. All
It's
right.
this is
So
so interesting.
yeah. So who are these airlines? Oh my gosh.
So
Uh,
check out the cheapest ticket. So the departing 21, you see the prices, right? It's way, higher than a lot of other places we've been, but you'll see why. If you hit the little arrow next to the flight, and you see how many layovers are there. So take a look at that, Lou.
Look at that, folks. So Dulles, our favorite airport, we know how to get there to Los Angeles. So now we're on the opposite side of the country. And then we go from Los Angeles to Shanghai. So now we're in China. Well, that's sort of interesting. That's flying right across the Pacific Ocean. Back in the day, you used to have to stop in Hawaii, but now they go straight. And that's on China Eastern Airlines. I've never heard of those guys. Hopefully it's a safe airline.
A 13-hour layover. You could really, if you can, visit a lot in Shanghai where you see it. And even before in LA, it has a 15-hour layover. So you could really make a trip out of those like you talked about in the past, right?
Oh, you know what you do, folks? First off, you want to get the cheapest ticket, but once you got the cheapest ticket, depending on where it lays over, you try to stretch it out as long as you can. When we went to Europe last summer, we had a chance to go to Dublin for like a 9 hour layover instead of flying direct to our destination. On the way back, we had a chance to go to Nice on the way back, all for the same price. We got two extra stops. So that's nice. But you do have to be aware of where the airport is relative to the sites that you want to see. Sometimes the airport's too far away. But most of the time, these airports, except in the United States, unfortunately, are served by mass transit. So you can easily get from the airport to the exciting, excuse me, tourist spots. Okay, apologize about that. Then Shanghai to, oh my gosh, you're right, Alex. Look at that. To Zhangjiang International Airport. That's about a 3 hour trip, 2 hour layover. Then Zhangjiang to Lhasa Ganja Airport. Oh my gosh, China Eastern Air. So these are all that's four flights. Is that what I saw here, Alex?
Ba ba Basically, Lou, I mean, it's you see the total hours for the trip. It's like all these flights, no matter which one you pick, and they go in different directions. That one happened to go west, but I'm sure there are flights that go east. You can see the amount of time, like 37, 40, 45 hours just one way. We're thinking this is just one way, right? So that's a lot, and you see the price. I mean, four flights, I mean, 2000 2400, like 1800. I mean, that seems relatively good for the amount of flights that you have and things of that nature in a way. So the round trip is about, it says 2000, 2400, because things are relatively cheap there in relevance to us. So it's really, you're kind of paying for the flight.
And look at this. See this little +3 right here? That's +3 days. That's 3 days after you left. So it takes 3 days. You left at 5 o'clock, and 3 days later at 3 o'clock, you arrive. Unbelievable. So that's some serious airtime there.
Yeah, but
And
look
you,
at all the other flights. So Alaska, that one, Air Canada, uh, well, that just different organizations or different airports or flights for some of these. But it's interesting. Look at that one. That one says two stops. That one's for $9,000 for two stops.
geez. So yeah, usually fewer stops on the more direct flights. I mean, on the expensive flights. Sorry. All right, Alice. Well, great job with that research. I appreciate that. Let's see if we can go back and see if I can figure out how to navigate through this. All right. So Washington, D.C. to Tibet. Let's see what happens when I do this. Well,
Oh,
look at that.
our
We're going to
usual
start
stop.
here at the DC Department of Aging. So we know we're going to go to Dulles Airport, so good old Union Station. And then we're going to go to Dulles Airport, which is easy to find because the runways are so huge. And we're way out there in Dulles. Look at that. Went right straight there. Take off. So remember, we're this time we know we're going to LAX. So we're going to take off, get some altitude, get more altitude, get even more altitude, and then we're going to fly across the country to Los Angeles LAX airport right there. And then what was the next stop? It was Shanghai, right? Shanghai.
Yeah.
So let's get some even more altitude. So back in the day, you had to go to Hawaii because the planes didn't have enough gas. And now they fly a lot farther on the same amount of gas. So now we're going to go all the way to Shanghai. So does anybody know where Shanghai is? It's in China, right? So let's zoom in to find. Ooh, look at that. Shenzhen. Was it Shenzhen or Shanghai? I forgot.
It said Shanghai on the
Oh, it had. So where exactly is Shanghai? Anybody know? Hmm. There's Wuhan. We all know about that. Well, anyway, it's around there someplace. And then the next stop was Shenzhen, I think, right?
yes.
Boy, oh boy, this shows you my lack of knowledge of this neck of the woods. Uh, Alex, can you tell me the spelling on that? Well, first of all, let's look at Shang. I'm going to zoom into Shanghai.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's on the tip right there. That's where
yeah,
Shanghai
we
is
got it.
located.
Okay, so there's Shanghai, right on the ocean tip, and then we go to Shenzhen. Alex,
Right.
can you?
It
How
was
do you
like
spell
X.
that?
It was like
Oh
XIANG.
my God! Yeah, this
Oh,
this is
I
that
don't
it?
I don't think so. There's a lot of different spellings. Uh XIANG. I think that's how it was
S I
spelled.
A N G. Sang Sang Cheng district. Oh my gosh. Well, who knows?
Kind
Oh
of
my
just
God.
too
Well, it's
big,
certainly
right?
not there. But okay, so that's some intermediate city. But then we get to well, when the Tibet city was called Lhasa.
Yes. Lhasa, Tibet.
Okay, so where is that? Well, there it is. So let's zoom out a little bit and figure out where are we? We're a little bit lost even on Google Maps. Okay, so here we are. There it is. Oh my gosh, look at that. We're all the way on the other side of the world, on the other side of China.
It's kind of in the middle, it's in between China and India, Nepal, there's a lot of surrounding areas for the area.
If it was Sichuan, here's Sichuan. So here we are. Here's Tibet. So what a fascinating area, right deep, deep, deep in the middle of everything. And I tell you what, folks, let's see what the geography looks like. Let's put an aerial map on this to see. Are we talking about this plain? Are we talking about the city? Let's put a map on. Ooh, that's mountains. There's some serious mountains out there. Look at that, folks. There's some serious mountains out there. So we're right in the middle of the mountains. All right. Well, let's learn a little bit more then. So here we are right here. Here's Lhasa. We can keep zooming in. You can see there's some serious mountains out there. And we can keep zooming in, and you can see the city of Lhasa right here. Wow, beautiful. Right nestled in the middle of the mountains. And then oh my gosh. And then let's just drop a guy in here just for fun. Let's drop, oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that. There's no street view. Why would there be no street view in the middle of China? Probably because we're in the middle of China and China doesn't want to share its street information.
It's
The
really
same.
isolated. As you can see, it's really isolated.
It's re it's really more about Tibet, though.
I think even more than its isolation is the fact that I don't think China, like I bet we can go to other Chinese cities and we cannot see the street view.
China still, I don't know if you know this, but China still claims Tibet is Chinese property.
Yeah.
So it's more to do with Tibet. Tibet is a very, I don't say secretive, but closed society. So they ain't trying to have a bunch of folk up in there at all.
Well, I'm curious though. Also, like if you go into Germany, you can't get street view in Germany either. They block it. They don't allow it. And I wonder if that's true in other places in China, like some of the. How about Wuhan? Let's see if we can find that lab.
You trying to eat a bat, Lou?
What's that?
You want to eat you some bat meat, B-A-T? Or the Wuhan.
Yes, let's try to find some. Let's try some. Find some COVID here. See, look at that. Look at that. There's no street view anywhere in China. So I think they block it. I think China blocks it from Google Maps. So here we are in Wuhan. Let's look for some COVID around here. All right. Enough of that. Here we go. Back to our map. All right. Well, as you can see, we're like the blind leading the blind here because I don't know the first thing about this place, but I'm fascinated by it. That's for sure. Okay. So how about Tibetan culture? Let's learn a little bit about that. Alex, you might have to help me with some embedded goodies here. Let's give it a shot. Here we go, folks.
Have you ever wondered about the place known as the Roof of the World? This is Tibet, a land of towering mountains, ancient monasteries, and deep spiritual history. But beyond its stunning landscapes lies a story filled with culture, conflict, and resilience. Let's dive into the captivating history of Tibet. Our journey begins over 1,000 years ago. In the 7th century, Tibet was unified under the rule of Songtsen Gampo, a legendary king who established the Tibetan Empire. He made Lhasa the capital and introduced Buddhism, which would become the heart of Tibetan culture. The next few centuries were a golden age for Tibet. Magnificent monasteries were built, and scholars traveled from far and wide to study Tibetan Buddhism. The Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of Tibet, emerged as a central figure during this period, guiding the people with wisdom and compassion. But Tibet's peace would be tested. In the 13th century, the Mongol Empire, led by Genghis Khan, conquered Tibet. Surprisingly, this conquest brought an era of stability as the Mongols respected Tibet's religious significance and allowed its culture to flourish. Fast forward to the 20th century, and Tibet faced new challenges. In 1950, China invaded Tibet, claiming it as part of its territory. This led to a brutal conflict and the eventual flight of the 14th Dalai Lama to India in 1959. The Chinese government enforced strict control, and many Tibetans fled, carrying their rich culture into exile. Despite these hardships, Tibet's spirit remains unbroken. The Tibetan people continue to preserve their traditions, language, and religion. The Dalai Lama, even in exile, spreads messages of peace and compassion worldwide, keeping the Tibetan culture alive and inspiring millions. Today, Tibet is a land of both beauty and struggle. It's a place where ancient traditions meet modern challenges and where the resilience of its people shines through. The history of Tibet is not just a tale of a region, but a testament to the enduring strength of its culture and spirit. So next time you see the majestic Himalayas, remember the incredible story of Tibet. A story of kings and monks, of invasion and resilience, of a culture that continues to inspire. Tibet, the roof of the world, truly a place like no other. I hope you enjoyed diving into the historical wonders of Tibet. Join me in further exploring the untold histories of the world by liking and subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to turn on your notifications to ensure that you never miss a video. That's all from me today. Goodbye.
Wow. Any thoughts or reflections, folks, on the video? I thought it was interesting that the Mongols respected them, respected their religion, as powerful as they were.
Yeah, Genghis Khan, that fella had a huge empire.
Yeah. He was a lot more brutal, wasn't he, Mr. Harold, than the
It sure
European
seemed like
time?
he sure seemed like he was, dude. I think so. I just actually got a friend who recently returned from missionary work in China, in that same region of the country.
Oh.
And I was sharing it with some folk who probably may be on the video, on the Zoom now. And he was just sharing some of the stories with me about the food. I hope we run through some of the food and some of the creatures, because they eat everything that creepy crawl, that flies, that comes out of the sea. Everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Animals we've never seen. And he was sharing some of that stuff with me. And he said his host, who's American, but has been living there for a few years, he said the host, they went to what they call a wet market, all the food. And the food is live. You kill it on the spot and then take it home.
Wow.
He said, so except the food that's dead, that's hanging on the hooks and all that kind of thing. He said his host told him, nah, I don't want y'all to be messed up, surprised, whatever, but I got to tell you something. And they actually, Lou, had hanging dogs.
Oh my gosh.
Right? But they eat everything. They eat everything. Certain parts of Asia, particularly in China. It's just a different culture,
Right.
But he said, man, we saw those hanging dogs. We all freaked out. The Americans did, of course. They all freaked out.
Alex, you got any pictures of hanging dogs in this? We'll find out.
He's going to bring me some pictures, Lou, and I'm going to share them, he had them on a different phone. So he just left here actually this past weekend. He's coming back in December. So I'm going to get some of the photographs and share them later.
Oh, I would love to see that.
I'll share them with you.
All right, well, let's keep on cruising here, folks. So
Have you ever wondered about the place known as the roof?
Well, I didn't do that right, that's for sure. Let's see if I can advance this properly now. Okay, Tibetan culture and Buddhism.
Yeah, the video before, Lou. Go back.
There's another video?
Yes,
right,
Lou.
Right here, is this it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Tibet is a place that, throughout history, has always somehow remained isolated. Tall mountains and a harsh climate have guarded this place from intruders for hundreds of years and kept the land a mystery for most. But over the course of the last century and even into the 21st century, this region has gone through some drastic political changes, and this has led to a lot of confusion about Tibet. Some people call it a country, others an autonomous zone. Some people want to free it, while others want, well, the exact opposite. So what's going on here? Is Tibet a country? Well, first things first, let's look at a definition of country. Most simply, a country is a nation with its own government occupying a particular territory. In this definition, I see 3 criteria, and I want to look at each one individually. Let's start with the last part, occupying a particular territory. Tibet can be found here in a region unsurprisingly named the Tibetan Plateau, in more or less the dead center of Asia, found within the borders of China. This is by far the highest region on the planet in terms of altitude, as it contains the entire Himalayan mountain range and has an average elevation above 4,900 meters. Here are some of the world's tallest mountains, including the tallest on Earth, Mount Everest. But the Tibetan Plateau is more of a geographic determination rather than a political one, so we need to go a little deeper. And not everyone can agree on the extent of Tibet, but it began looking something like this in 618 CE when Songtsen Gampo united the Yarlung River Valley, creating the first Tibetan Empire. It's reported too that he also brought Buddhism to Tibet. Under Gampo, Tibet came to control the Kingdom of Nepal through a marriage, and then the Kingdom of Zhejiang through a failed marriage and then conquest. At its greatest extent, around the year 780, the Tibetan Empire looked something like this. At this point, the Tibet Empire encompassed nearly 4 million square kilometers. This today would be the 7th largest country in the world, right under Australia and roughly the same size as India and Pakistan combined. But, as many empires have learned before and since, you can't get that big without a few people wanting to take some land for themselves. Soon, the Chinese came in from the east to reclaim much of their lost territory. The Turkic Uyghurs to the north helped the Chinese in this struggle, and even the Arabs to the far west of the empire started to invade as well. While these invasions did shrink and weaken the empire, they did not totally destroy it. Finally, Tibet ended up looking something like this. Within this, there were 3 major regions. There's Amdo and Kham, which are more or less equal in size, and what's left is Utsang, the largest of the 3. However, Amdo gradually split away and integrated more into China. Culturally, it's still Tibetan, but when talking about Tibet as a possible country, it's not really included. Parts of Kham also fall under this designation. For our purposes, Tibet will include all of Utsang and about half of Kham, as this is the area China defines as the Tibet Autonomous Region, and that's for the most part what people are fighting to free. So with this definition, Tibet is over 1,200,000 square kilometers, or in other words, Tibet is just a little bigger than the country of South Africa and just a little smaller than the country of Mali. That would make Tibet potentially the 25th largest country in the world. Despite most of China being densely populated, Tibet has a population of only around 3 million people. That means there's only 2.5 people for every square kilometer. If you need something to compare that to, China as a whole hosts 145 people per square kilometer. Yeah, Tibet is basically China's Alaska, mountainous, out of the way, and sparsely populated. But there you go, we have a particular territory. Now let's look at the first part, a nation. This might be confusing for some because to many, a nation is synonymous with a country. But to get technical, a nation is any large aggregate of people inhabiting a particular territory, united by a common descent, history, culture, or language. Okay, yeah, so it's pretty similar, but what matters is this part, united by something they all have in common. First up, 90% of the Tibet Autonomous Region are ethnically Tibetan rather than Han Chinese, who make up the vast majority of people in the rest of China. Descent? Check. This alone is enough, but let's take a look at the others anyway. Next, being under the Tibetan Empire for so long has given the region much the same story, so history? Check. Life here is dominated by Tibetan Buddhism and surviving the elements, so culture? Check. And people here for the most part speak the same language, Tibetan, another check. So yeah, Tibet is definitely a nation. Alright, all Tibet needs now is its own government, and here's where the issue begins. The first thing you need to know is that in 1642, the highest monk of a school of Tibetan Buddhism declared himself the ruler of Tibet. This monk's title became the Dalai Lama, and ever since, whoever holds this title is recognized as the ruler of Tibet by the people who live here. This type of rule, where people of religious significance control the land, is called a theocracy and does count as government. Since 1642, the Dalai Lama continued to govern, even while briefly under the administration of the Qing dynasty of China, and the Dalai Lama's rule lasted until the 1950s. Until this point, it's fair to say Tibet was an independent country. You can see on maps from this time which clearly show Tibet as separate from anything else. But then, China went through a civil war and a communist revolution. All of a sudden, China's priorities priorities changed. The new People's Republic of China came to Tibet and negotiated with the 14th Dalai Lama. In what's called the 17-point agreement, the Dalai Lama affirmed China's control over Tibet while sparing it some autonomy. Soon after, the Dalai Lama was forced into exile by the Chinese government and he now lives in India. But still, to this day, the Dalai Lama, the person everyone in Tibet accepts as their leader, believes that Tibet should be a part of China. But what he calls for is more freedom for Tibet to run its own affairs. In an attempt to assimilate Tibet into Chinese culture, all religion was heavily restricted and over 6,000 monasteries were destroyed, effectively erasing much of the Tibetan culture and history. China claims to be an atheist society, so religion isn't really tolerated, and shrines or even just pictures of the Dalai Lama can result in arrests or worse. While in India, however, the Dalai Lama established what's called a government in exile. They tried to maintain influence on the region from the outside, but China's power has only increased since then. In 1962, China briefly fought a war with India and mobilized military forces into Tibet to defend the border, establishing serious military presence in the region and redoubling Tibet's importance in guarding China's southwestern border. Then, in 2007, large mineral deposits in Tibet were reported, estimated to have a value of around $128 billion. This deposit could double China's store of valuable metals like copper, lead, and zinc. This would mean China would no longer depend on other nations for these raw materials needed for manufacturing. So, due to Tibet's strategic military position and resource richness, China is unlikely to loosen its grip on the region anytime soon. What this means is that in terms of government, the Chinese definitely control Tibet, so our third requirement is not met. Tibet is not a country, despite what many people might think, and unlikely to become one as China's military capabilities and global influence only increase. Before I end, however, I just want to say that isn't to say Tibet shouldn't be a country. This video isn't about my opinion, I'm just trying to present the facts. The Chinese government has committed some atrocities in Tibet since gaining control, and if you want to know more about why people continue to fight to free Tibet, ask someone from Tibet. They'll be able to answer your questions way better than I ever could. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have anything to say, please bring it up in the comments. Other than that, please like this video. You already watched the whole thing, so you might as well, and if you haven't already, why not subscribe? That's it for me this week. I'll be back soon with another video. Thanks.
All right. Well, that was interesting, folks. That was interesting. Any thoughts about Tibet? Thanks for that slide, Alex. That really gives us some insight.
Hi, yeah, this is Jada. I thought the Dalai Lama was just a one-time thing. I didn't know there were several.
Yeah. Is that same guy still around?
Yeah, the guy the young man they showed, now he's an old man, of course. They showed him initially, you had one slide, he had his hair, he had head full of hair. But now, of course, he's an old guy. And he travels around the world. He's exiled, but he travels around the world preaching peace.
How old is he now? Because ever since I was a little kid, he's been around.
I don't know exactly, Lou, but I would think he would probably be in his early 80s.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. I always thought him as purely a religious leader. I did not know that he was the, for lack of a better word, president, also the president of the country too.
Yeah.
He's the ruler, yeah. They recognize him as the ruler. The Tibetans do.
Maybe the peacefulness of their culture, is why they got overrun so easy.
He's 89.
I could see
89?
that. 89? Okay.
89.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Where is he living now?
India. I believe India. Okay. Whoever did that Google probably can tell better. I think he's in India.
The video definitely mentioned the government and
Darsham, DHARAMSALA, India.
He's in India. Wow. We should all take a field trip out and go visit him. All right, next slide. Alex, let me know if I do it wrong. Tibetan culture and Buddhism. Oh, this looks really interesting. Let's fire it up.
At the of the Kunlun Mountains in the Himalayas, within the Indian state of Kashmir, is Ladakh. Here, Tibetan culture permeates every corner. The monastery doors are opened. Gongs are struck. And the sounds of strident trumpets fuses with the repetitive swirling prayers emanating from the prayer wheels. The pungent smell of yak butter drifts up from the sacred enclosure, impregnating every room. The repetitive echo of mantras fills the air. In the shadows of the central chamber, monks and faithful pray. Candlelight pierces the darkness where they worship Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, the man who more than 2,500 years ago achieved illumination through profound meditation. And so these monks meditate as he did, in the hope of achieving the virtues of goodness and wisdom.
That is really cool. It's almost like a different planet, isn't it, with those horns?
Yeah, it seems to be. You know, it just popped in my head though, thinking, and that's the first time I've ever seen a woman in that whole scenario of the Buddhist monks. And I'm thinking, all these men, but they have to come from somewhere. They had to come from some woman initially, but you don't ever see women.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's interesting.
But they had them somewhere in the mountains.
Guys, I gotta hear these horns. I gotta hear these horns again. Give me a second.
With the repetitive swirling prayers, strident trumpets fuses with the repetitive swirling prayers emanating from the prayer wheels. The pungent smell of yak butter drifts up from the sacred enclosure, impregnating every room. The repetitive echo of mantras fills the air.
I feel like I'm in a science fiction movie. That's so beautiful. I need to get there.
It's interesting where they migrated from Tibet to India and to that particular area, and they set up their own culture there, and the Indians allowed them to achieve it. I guess I'm imagining it because they're both Buddhists, so they just.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, Indians are Hindu. Well, okay.
Well, no, these are some great insights. Let's keep her going here. Alex, let me know if I missed something. Let's look at Tibetan artistry now.
我妈妈的爷爷叫文嘎，是画唐卡的喇嘛，比较厉害，在藏区很有名的。妈妈爷爷的哥哥也是画唐卡的喇嘛，这一代的就是我。我叫自称闹布，我是一个恰次唐卡画家，画唐卡20几年了。 唐卡是代表佛，藏族人用来供养的。佛教中，唐卡的地位很高，用来介绍佛的样子、佛的故事、佛的来历。传统 传统意义唐卡的金线是用金色画上去的，掐丝用立体的金色贴上去，唐卡会更立体、更庄严，然后更层次。首先要打磨铝板，让胶可以粘得更好。然后是画图，掐丝用立体的金色贴上去。上珐琅的颜色，等干了，就是毛笔上传统唐卡的颜色。这个是天然的藏瓷，它用来白色颜料，它里面是白色的。然后这也是天然的藏玉，里面是绿色的，也是用来做绿色的颜料。景泰朗的珐琅颜料是矿物粉，很闪，比较粗。唐卡的颜料天然的，比较细，两种颜料一起用上，有珐琅很闪的华丽，可以看到一粒一粒的珐琅矿物粉。从小就喜欢画唐卡，12岁开始学习画符，在家里面有纸，会在平地上或者是石头上面画画。之后有机会去寺庙画，在墙壁上、木门上。2010年在艺术地震的时候认识了一个做掐丝的老师，我看到这个的时候就觉得要学习掐丝，然后去做唐卡的话，感觉很美。用心画唐卡的时候会进入到唐卡里面，时间过得很快，时间过了也不知道，很专注，很享受，感觉很辛苦，就像修行一样的，心不会乱跑。我自己最喜欢的作品是这个释迦牟尼智土三尊，它的颜色、构图、风格我最喜欢的。然后我用1年多的时间去做，还没做完，还需要5、6个月的时间。
I have never seen anything like that. What do y'all think?
You know, the picture itself may not grab me so much, but the workmanship, the way they mold the metals and they take materials to make the enamels and put them all together, it's fantastic. I never knew it like that.
Yeah. What holds that wire in place while he's doing that? I couldn't figure it out.
The glue, he put a layer of glue in
Glue on.
in the etches where he sketched. So he lines the wire and then he cuts it off.
Oh,
Are you familiar with the sand mandala?
no.
You talking about that was very meticulous. You should check out the sand mandala.
Samadala?
Sand, S-A-N-D, then M-A-N-D-A-L-A. What they do, Lou, is they do a portrait, for lack of a better word right now, and it takes them years in some cases, because it's a very ritualistic thing. They construct it and then they deconstruct it through various Buddhist rituals, but they use the same color. Those same kind of things you just saw there with the wire and so forth, they do that with sand, different color sand. So it's called
Oh.
San Madala.
San Madala.
Yeah, I'm Googling it on my phone.
You
Yeah,
familiar
this
with that, Brother Leon?
When you talked about it, and I have seen images of it. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, do you have a San Mandela story here for us? Maybe at the I just Googled it on my phone. It's beautiful. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe at the end if we get time.
Very patient people. Very patient.
San Mandela. I got it on my phone right now. Now, Alex, you got to help me with this one here. This is a little complicated. So 10 Tibetan dishes you need to try. I think I got one of these at Dunkin' Donuts the other day. What is that? It's got jelly inside? Did I lose y'all? Alex, you there?
Let's keep looking through, Lou. It's a website. Just keep looking through. So
Is that the custard? You put it inside? That's the Dunkin' Donuts thing. No, I don't have that at Dunkin' Donuts. Oh wow, look at this. I think I've seen those in my backyard after the deer come through. No, I'm just kidding. What is
Lou,
that?
you too funny. You too funny. Dunkin' Donuts.
you see the name of the food and then you can read the description, Lou.
All right, I'll stop making stuff up. Sampa is the most consumed food among the locals in Tibet. It is made out of roasted barley flour and butter tea. It is a staple enjoyed by pretty much everyone. It requires minimal utensils, few ingredients, a little more time to make. The most common way to eat sampa is by mixing it with butter tea in the bowl and forming it into small leaf balls. I think I've seen these before at the Chinese restaurants. It's like dumplings or something. Tibetan momo. Tibetan momo is another dish that's widely popular, made out of wheat flour that can be steamed, fried, or boiled. They are filled with different meats and vegetables and are always accompanied by a special, delicious hot sauce made from tomatoes, chilies, and garlic. Now that looks familiar.
Yeah.
Okay, now what is that?
That's Dunkin' Donut right there.
Yeah. See the jelly inside, the strawberry jelly right there. So belap is a kind of bread that's usually consumed for breakfast and lunch. There are different regional varieties of the dish like amdo belap, basic round bread, shao belap, fried meat pies, new track belap, deep fried bread, and shamli belap, fried vegetable pies. It's made out of barley, wheat, and flour. Interesting. Oh, now we're talking. Chang. Chang is Tibet's own version of beer or barley or wine. It's the most widely consumed alcoholic beverage in Tibet. It's made of barley, millet, or rice grains, keeps you warm when temperature dips. It's also consumed as a symbol of celebration. That looks actually pretty good. Okay, now what's this? Yak meat.
Yak.
Whoa. Yak meat is the most popular meat eaten by Tibetans. It's eaten in various forms like boiled, dried, stewed, steamed, roasted, cooked in curries and fillings, and sometimes eaten raw. The juicy meat is nutritious and lean. It has a slightly sweet flavor. Has anybody here ever had that? What does a yak look like? It's like a deer, isn't it? Let me Google that.
Like the water buffalo, you know?
That's what
Yeah.
I want to know what kind of meat it
wildebeest.
is.
Oh, it is like a water buffalo. You're right.
Got more hair.
Yeah, look.
It's a cattle. Technically it's a domesticated cattle. So it's kind of like it's also called an ox.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, that's bigger than a cow. Yeah, y'all see it? It's like a water buffalo. Huh.
It was
Wow.
domesticated in Tibet, so that's why it's the most popular meat.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Tibetan yogurt, also known as sho. Tibetan yogurt is different from the regular one. It is made from yak milk, much creamier than cow yogurt. Locals generally consume it along with brown sugar, warm steamer. Oh, I bet you that's pretty good. Oh, look at these. Butter tea. Oh, remember they're talking about butter tea in the video. Butter tea is a must-drink Tibetan meal. Basically, it's boiled strong tea added with ghee, and salt. Tibetan people drink butter tea to keep themselves warm. It's usually drunk when eating tsampa. Wow. Is there a Tibetan restaurant in DC anywhere? It'd be interesting to
That's it,
try.
Lou. That's it for the page, Lou. But I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying some of that stuff. That's really tasty. All right. Alex, let's see if we, what I just do? What I just
Back up
do?
to the, just go back up to the slides, Lou, at the top.
I think I triggered something. I got to move all my gizmos here. All right, let's get back there. Get me back. All right. Ooh, look at this.
This is our last video before trivia. So there's actually a World Heritage Site in
I bet there is. That architecture is fascinating.
It is nice.
The centerpiece of Tibet's capital, Lhasa, is the imposing Potala Palace. At 12,000 feet above sea level, it's the highest palace in the world. It's also a major center for Buddhist spirituality. Potala refers to a sacred mountain in India, and for centuries, its namesake palace has been at the core of Tibet's monastic community. Much of the palace dates to the 17th century, but the earliest construction began 1,000 years earlier on commission of a Tibetan king in honor of his marriage to a princess of China. The growing fortress became the winter home for the Dalai Lamas, monastic leaders of Tibetan Buddhism. UNESCO's World Heritage designation extends to the neighboring Jokhang Temple, considered Tibet's most sacred. It also includes Norbulinka, once the Dalai Lama's summer residence. Conflict led to the exile of the Dalai Lama from Tibet in 1959, and the grounds became a museum. But the Potala Palace remains a major Buddhist pilgrimage site. Many travel long distances by foot to pay their respects. Potala is divided into two parts: the Red Palace, which is for religious practice, and the White Palace for administrative use. Visitors to Potala have to go with a tour group and obtain a special permit. The heritage site contains a vast collection of sacred texts and works of art. Potala Palace has withstood the elements and political struggle, remaining an embodiment of Tibetan culture.
Wow.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful.
And to
I'm so
last
happy the
this long.
Chinese didn't destroy that, you know?
Yeah, to last this long. That's just beautiful.
Yeah. All right, folks, I think that's it. Alex, take it away for trivia. I think so. Trivia, Alex, go ahead, take her away.
Yeah, thank you, Lou, and thank you so much for showcasing that our videos and our flights. It was so much fun to learn more about Tibet. So for our trivia today, again, as usual, if you'd like to answer one of the questions to be in the running for a holiday ornament prize, you must raise your hand in Zoom if you would like to answer the question. We have some multiple choice questions today, so we'll take 3 answers for each question and see who gets it correct. Okay, so again, if you'd like to answer one of the multiple choice questions, please raise your hand in Zoom. So let's all try that out. You can hit more at the top right and then hit raise hand, or if your toolbar is at the bottom, you can tap on reactions and then tap on raise hand. Yeah, so we have 4 hands so far. Again, if you'd like to participate and answer a question, potentially win a prize today, then please raise your hand in Zoom so we can test that out. Again, we'll take the first 3 hands for each question. So make sure that you raise your hand in time so you can be in the running for a prize. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, you all can hit lower at the bottom. Really appreciate it. And what we're going to do is, to save time, there are 18 questions in this trivia that I had located for us today. So give me 1 second. And I will pull up. All right, now just give me a second. Again, please don't forget to lower your hand. Thank you so much. All right. So for our question numbers, again, there are 18 questions that were located. 1 second, you all. Okay. Sorry about that, you all. Let's see. Okay, so we had 18 question numbers, and for our results, I had to refresh the page. I apologize about that, but we have question number 8, 9, 12, 14, and 15. So for those questions, I'll take 3 answers for each question, and let's go from there. So I'm going back here. This was question number 7. And let's see who gets this. So our next question, again, please provide the answer that you see. So what is the estimated value of the mineral deposit discovered under the Tibetan Plateau? Is it 128 billion, 50 billion, 200 billion, or 100 billion? Again, I'll take the first 3 hands. Okay. All right, I see we have 3 hands. So again, just share your answer. Okay. Miss Doris, what do you say?
128 billion.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Harold, what do you say?
128 billion.
Okay, all right. And Mr. Leon, what do you say?
128 billion.
Everybody get that number there. They
All
got
right.
that money.
Yeah, so let's see who gets it. So everyone decided 128. So let's see if that is correct. And it is. The deposit has an estimated value of 128 billion. So good job. Again, so far we have 3 in the running. All right, for a prize. So we have question number 9 next. What is the name of the region where the Zhangzun culture migrated from? Was it Western Tibet, Amdo, Guj, or Yarlung River Valley? Again, 3 answers for each question. We have 2 so far. All right, we have 3 hands. Thank you. Again, you got to make sure you get that raised hand. So, Brenda, what do you say?
I'll say Amdo.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Miss Doris, once again, what do you say?
Amdo.
Okay. Good. And let's see. Our last hand is for this question is Miss Thompson. What do you say?
Endo.
Okay. All right. All right. Everyone is all in on Ando. Let's see what comes up. And you all are right. Good job. The early Tibetan historical texts identify the Zhangzun culture as a people who migrated from the Amda region into what is now the region of Guj in Western Tibet. So good job, you all, once again. Love it. All right, our next question is 12. So we'll go through 10, just again, picking some answers. All right. This is question 11. And let's do question 12, or let's see who gets it. What happened to the Paleolithic inhabitants of the Tibetan Plateau? They were replaced by Neolithic immigrants. There was no evidence of their existence. They migrated to other regions. they were wiped out by natural disasters. Again, please raise your hand if you'd like to share your response. Okay, we have one hand. Thank you, Mr. Leon. Two hands, okay. Again, you're in the, raise your hand, and potentially can win a prize today. Okay, three hands. Okay, Mr. Leon, which one do you say?
They migrated to other regions.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Miss Doris, what do you say?
I agree with him on the same answer.
Okay, and Mr. Harold, what do you say?
I'm going to be contrary. There is no evidence of their existence.
Okay, so let's see. We have 2 for migrated to other regions, and then we have 1 for no evidence. So let's go with the other regions. Let's go with that answer choice, and let's see what it is. So no, they were replaced by Neolithic immigrants from northern China, around 3000. Wow. So that one was a tough one. Okay, but good job. You learned something new, okay? Next question is number 14. So this is 13. And then, okay, what title was given to Sonam Gyatso by Altan Khan of the Tumid Mongols? Was it the Dalai Lama, Sakya Lama, Gelugpa King, or the Phagmadrupa Emperor? Again, what is your choice? What do you all think? Again, 3 hands. Again, raise your hand, running for a prize. Okay, we have 3. Appreciate it. Okay, Mr. Leon, once again, what do you say?
The Dalai Lama.
Okay, all right. All right. Brenda, what do you say?
I'll say the Dalai Lama.
Okay, all right. And Miss Doris, what do you say?
Dalai Lama.
Okay, this one's unanimous. So let's see if let's see, got it. So Dalai Lama. Let's see, let's see. All right, good job, you all. Love it. Thank you so much for that. All right. Good job. Sonam Gyatso was given the title Dalai Lama, which is a Mongolian translation of the Tibetan name Gyatso, meaning ocean. Who knew, right? All right. One last question. Again, encouraging all folks, especially if you haven't answered yet, to raise your hand and see if you can be in the running for a prize today. Last question. Who were the first Europeans to arrive in Tibet? Spanish conquistadors, French traders, British explorers, or Portuguese missionaries? Good question. Again, 3 hands, taking 3 hands. We have 1 hand so far. 2 more hands, you all. Again, especially if you have not answered yet, we'd love to hear from you. You have 2 hands. All right, so we have 3 hands. Thank you so much. First up, Mr. Harold, what do you say?
British explorers.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Leon, what do you say?
French traders.
Okay, all right, little different. Good. And we have Miss Thompson. What do you say?
British explorers.
Okay, so we have 2 for British explorers, 1 for French traders. So good job. Let's see who gets this last question. Really appreciate your participation, you all. So we have 2 for British explorers. Let's see if that is correct. No, it's Portuguese missionaries. Wow. The first Europeans to arrive in Tibet were the Portuguese missionaries Antonio de Andrade and Manuel Marques in 1624. So yes, we learned quite a bit. That was pretty tough trivia. So we all did a wonderful job. So good job for, again, participating and for answering those questions. I hope you all learned a lot today. So I'm going to enter in our initials for our wheel for today. So Congratulations to those that I'm inputting. And you'll see your initials. They're all, thank goodness, all of us have different initials. But congrats to those that got to answer correct. So we'll see with our wall and with our list of entries. We have 9 entries. We'll see who wins a holiday ornament prize. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck, good luck, good luck. And just by a hair, we have Mr. Leon. Good job. Congratulations, Mr. Leon. You won a holiday ornament prize for winning today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Yay,
Mr. Leon.
Leon.
Great job. Great job. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And once again, thank you, Lou, for presenting our section today. I hope you enjoyed that trivia. And thank you so much for presenting. We'll see you next week for our next cultures presentation. So make sure you check that out. But I will see you all at 1:30. But once again, thank you, Lou, for presenting. And I hope you all learned something new today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
That was great, everybody. Thanks a lot. Have a
Thank
good
You're
day,
you.
everyone.
Good stuff, Alex.
Thank you
Good
very
job,
Thank
Lou.
much.
you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Very
You all have a
interesting.
good day.
Congratulations,
Thanks,
Mr.
Alex. Thank you
Leon.
all.
Great winning, Leon.
Lou, there are Tibetan restaurants in DC.
Oh, really? Oh, I
Yeah,
gotta search that
quite a
out.
few of
Thank
them.
I gotta try
you.
some of that yak meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good day. See you all
All right.
All
soon.
right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
See you soon.